Welcome to the Be Magnetic podcast, where we ignite deep abundance and step into soul-led success without losing joy, freedom, or peace. This is for the woman who is bored, disconnected, and exhausted trying to win a game she doesn't want to play anymore. If your soul is calling for more flow, more ease, more magic, but you're not sure how to get there, get ready to become magnetic and create a life that is as juicy and abundant as you've always dreamed it could be. Hi, and welcome back to the podcast. I'm really excited as we are talking today about 4 hacks to feeling safe and secure around money fast. So this episode is for you if you are feeling maxed out, still somehow scarce, wondering when you're gonna finally hit the point of feeling at ease, safe and abundant around money, although you already make a lot of money. So personally, I have been feeling slightly maxed out lately. This whole mommy thing really added a lot to my plate that I was not expecting. Although the feeling of feeling maxed out is more like emotionally, energetically, mentally for me. And it's definitely like coming from this place of like, I'm not like sure what I'm doing. I don't really understand like what's going on, like what I have to do, how things work, and like that has my capacity really maxed out. It does trickle into different areas of my life as well, where I've noticed myself feeling more anxious around finances. And I mean, we can be so grateful because we're like so good financially and there's like nothing we have to worry about, but I've noticed that it feels slightly more uncomfortable to spend money or to just like even purchase stuff like energetically. And so I've been obviously trying a lot of different things lately to help me expand the capacity of what I'm capable of to hold, while also helping me to feel more regulated, more at ease, more abundant, and like just, you know, peaceful through this massive expansion that I'm going through. And I know that a lot of you might feel similar, because these are topics that I talk about with my clients all the time. And so I want to talk about today the 4 hacks that we can actually do to help us regulate, to help us navigate times where we are feeling more financially anxious, although technically there is no reason for us to feel so, because we're actually making more than enough. Or maybe for you it's like more of a constant state where you've like been making really good money, but for some reason it just doesn't feel enough, which I also have a lot. Like I see this a lot in my clients and just women I talk to, that, you know, we make a lot of money and there's like no obviously reason to worry about, but still we're not feeling financially safe, secure, or abundant. And so my intention really is to help you get to this point, because I feel like, I believe that financial freedom doesn't only come from a place of having enough money in your bank account, but also like being worryless when it comes to money at any given time. Because especially when we're in business, but like no matter your situation really, there's always gonna be times where we make more money, and then there's times where we make less money, or there's times where we have to pay more stuff, and then there's times where we have to pay less stuff. So it is really important for us to find strategies, to find energetic hacks to feel safe and secure and taken care of, no matter where we are or what life or business looks like at any given moment. And so there's 4 hacks that I have implemented over and over again for myself, but that I've also taught to my clients for the last 2-3 years now, that work wonders. And there's no particular like way in which you need to apply them, and maybe there's like a couple that you feel like you need to apply a bit more than some of the others. Maybe some of those you've already kind of nailed down, and that's fine. I just want to share the all-encompassing part of this, so that each one of you can kind of like for yourself evaluate, okay, maybe I need to lean a little bit more into that, or I need to do a little bit more of this. So the first hack is strategy. Strategy is important because when we don't know how much we're spending or how much we're making or where the money goes specifically and when it goes out, it does create this unconscious, often even conscious anxiety, because we always have to look at, okay, is there enough money in my bank account or in my checkings account where, the bills are being paid for, or do I have enough to invest in this or do this, while also wanting to do or have to do all these other things. So we really have to, in order to feel safe and secure, we have to get strategic around it. I'm not meaning we have to be keeping tabs on the strategy or being in control all the time, but sitting down every once in a while, and I highly recommend doing this maybe once a month. I wouldn't do it necessarily more often because that sometimes can just lead to overcomplicating things, and so actually contributing to the anxiety because we're wanting to be in control and then we feel like we are not, and then that creates this negative spiral, and it's also creating the sense of we're not really trusting source, we're not really trusting money to take care of us either. So yeah, we want to spend time with it, we want to get strategic with it, just like we want to spend time or give love to our partners, but we also don't want to micromanage them, right? So do this once a month or once a quarter, whatever works for you flow, but sit down and really get clear. And I love an Excel spread for this. You can also use a Notion table or whatever works for you, but write down somewhere, what are your recurring expenses, right? What is the stuff that you pay daily, weekly, monthly, and how much, right? And get detailed, right? What are the different areas, right? Rent, water supplies, food, stuff like that. The more details you can actually get on where the money goes, the better. Of course, for the purpose of making this user friendly, we can also kind of put together certain areas of life. So utilities, for example, you don't have to write down every bill you pay for utilities, but have it run under this category if that makes it easy for you. You want to get really clear on what are my recurring expenses, and then also what are my my also recurring but not as frequently expenses. So maybe there's stuff that you pay every day or every week or every month, and then there's maybe stuff that you just pay every year, or you pay it every now and then. For example, maybe that every now and then you want to give yourself a massage, and so that's an expense, but it's not necessarily a recurring expense. So you want to have that written down as well. And ideally you would do that for your life and your business separately, right? So you've got that written down, and then you want to write down, obviously, what are your income? Where's the money coming in? How much is coming in? And when is it coming in? Just like we did with the expenses, right? So we know this. And we also want to do some sort of a forecasting of what the next months are going to look like, right? So if okay, I am probably going to spend 300 on this, 400 on this, 500 on this, 1K on that, whatever next month, write this down. And then write down also how much you're expecting to make. So that way you see, in overflow, or am I actually coming short, right? So that is a great way for us to get an overview of where we actually are. And then from there, we can also get more strategic on, are we actually spending money on the right things? Or are there maybe any money leaks, for example, that make us feel unsafe or scarce unnecessarily? We can also that way kind of energetically, emotionally prepare for months where we maybe need to overextend a little bit more, but we also then see, okay, maybe this month is a little bit tighter, but next month is better because I've got more payment plans that I do or whatever, where I make more money than maybe this month, right? So having this overview is really, really beneficial. And then you also want to some sort include the way you're distributing the money that is left over. So, or not necessarily what's left over, but also include somewhere of saving into that financial plan. So when you forecast, I want you to also include a fixed amount of money every month that you are going to put towards your savings, towards an independence fund or a security fund or a wealth fund or something like that. A fund essentially that only has the purpose of accumulating money. And that is basically everything we want to do when it comes to strategy, when it comes to finances. We essentially want to get clear on where's the money going, how much is coming in, and how does that look in relation, and that helps us be prepared for what's to come. This also helps us kind of prevent this anxiety in the moment when we see, okay, there's more going out than we expected to go out, right? And obviously we want to revisit this forecast that we've done every so often. Again, once a month is enough, that you kind of have it a bit more realistic and kind of see what actually happened and can, forecast it a bit more accurately next time. So that is the first thing. If you want to get deeper into financial strategy, I do have another episode that goes really deep into that, which is episode number 94. So if you want, you can, dive deeper into that if you feel like this is something that you could work on to expand your ease and your safety and security around. The next hack is mindset. And obviously, as much as strategy is important, financial freedom is also an inner game, right? We can only feel as financial free as we're actually capable of feeling, right? So, even if you have the numbers on paper that you're taken care of, that you have so much left over at the end of the month, you're only going to feel safe, secure, and abundant if you actually let that sink into your mind, and if you actually start training your mind to believe that you are abundant. And so we really have to train ourselves to think the way that it is beneficial. And something or the way in which that showed up for me recently is that obviously there's been more bills that I needed to pay with having a child. So, and I did feel slightly uncomfortable around it because I didn't expect that necessarily, or I didn't know what I was getting myself into basically. So it came kind of as a surprise. And I did notice how that was kind of starting to take over my emotions, and I started to feel more scarce and maxed out and not so safe. And that is when we then go in and do the mindset work, and we affirm to ourselves what we want to feel, and we start telling ourselves the stories that we need to hear in order to keep continuing to feel safe. And I just kept repeating to myself that we have enough money, and I showed myself the proof of the numbers that I've did, and I was showing myself all the ways in which money was coming in, and all the reasons why we are financially taken care of, and kind of basically just repeated this over and over and over again to myself that I'm financially safe and secure. And I've also acquired an affirmation that I found really helpful, which is the more I surrender, the more my money expands. And so because I've noticed myself slip a little bit into this micromanaging energy, and I knew that this was just contributing to my anxiety. So I was really consciously trying to let go of that, and trying to let go of the control and surrender more and trust more. And I did repeat an affirmation to myself, and I did, walk myself through those emotions and through those feelings and those thoughts, which is really important. And that is where, practices come in. This is where mentorship comes in. This is where, gifting yourself spiritual guidance sessions or energetic healing sessions that help you stay on track with your mindset. Because when you've got the strategy nailed down, and when you have on paper that you're actually taken care of, the rest is just mindset game. The rest is just telling yourself and showing yourself and showing your body that it is safe and secure. Speaking of body, we're getting into the third hack, which is, before we get into that though, I have a lot of mindset related money episodes on the podcast as well, so you can just scroll through and click whatever speaks to you. There's so many, I can't possibly list all of them, but there's a lot of great resources if you feel like that is something that you need to be tapping into a little bit more. So the third hack is the nervous system. And obviously when we have done the strategy and we've started, giving ourselves the pep talks and like started to actually like think the thoughts that serve us, we also have to take it a step further and make ourselves feel safe and secure within our body. And this is actually a step that so many people are missing, because I know a lot of people are doing the strategy work and I know a lot of people are doing the mindset work, but are we doing the nervous system regulation work really? So we want to regulate our body, because just because you tell yourself that you're fine, and just because on paper it looks fine, doesn't mean that your body is feeling fine. And our body, they're so incredible because they store information, they store energy, they store experiences. And the reason that you don't fully feel safe and secure financially might not even have to do with what's going on in your life right now, but it might be coming from an experience that you had way earlier in life, or just like a natural perceived danger of your unconscious, of your body, right? And so this is a natural survival mechanism that's happening. Every time we feel like we are in danger, our nervous system starts to get into fight mode. We start to then like stress up basically. And that is then creating more like anxiety and more like stressful thoughts and emotions, which then kind of spiral, right? And so when we're going through periods of like feeling maxed out, or when we're just in general feeling like we are like not feeling safe or secure around money, what we want to do is we want to like regulate our nervous system to it. We want to tend to our bodies by showing our body that what it feels is valid, but it's not necessarily true, right? We want to acknowledge the feelings that we have. We want to acknowledge the stress that's like happening inside our body, but we also at the same time want to give it an outlet so it can release, and so we can ground and center into a feeling that is serving us more. And the way we do this, I mean, there's like tons of practices we can do in nervous system regulation, but one particular that I really love is decompression. So you can do this in multiple ways. I'm going to give you like 2-3 as an example. So you can get a like acupressure mat, for example, and you can actually like when you feel like your nervous system is sort of like fried, or you're in this fight flight kind of mode, you can lay yourself on this mat and you can take deep breaths, and you can just like ground into the feeling. So just allow this uncomfortability, this like overstimulation, this anxiety to like be present. And the more you breathe and the more you actually become present and allow this to be there without wanting it to go away or change, the more it's going to dissolve itself. And that is regulating your nervous system, right? So you're in that moment giving your body permission to express what's going on inside of it. And so by that, it starts to feel safe. And because we're including like the acupressure and like the deep breathing, we're actually signaling the body that we're okay, right? This is a way of calming the nervous system. Another thing, you could totally do this also by just taking deep breaths, right? Or like stretching with taking deep breaths. The breath alone is calming the nervous system, but sometimes I know from experience that when we are very overstimulated, it's not enough to get us like grounded again. So we want to go into something that's a little bit more physical. So acupressure or stretching like yoga, something like that, or even shaking, or even like screaming or something like that. You can like do this, and then through the deep breaths, or like patting yourself, or even like cuddling up in bed, or you can go with a partner, like a friend, or like even your children, or your romantic partner. You can go and like have them hug you. This is also such a great way to regulate again, and you do this for as long as it takes for you to feel grounded and regulated, and you'll know when that moment arrives. So that is a crucial part as well of feeling safe and secure around money fast. And that is probably actually the thing that makes you feel safe and secure the fastest. But we will have to do this consistently to stay in this state, because there's going to be things that get us dysregulated again, and that's fine. We just have to like keep practicing to get regulated again. And then the fourth and last hack is to build habits, healthy habits around your finances. And what I mean by this is that, yeah, we want to obviously indulge, we want to live life and we want to enjoy our finances, but also we want to be intentional around it. We want to be smart around it. And especially something that I've noticed with, women or people in general who make a lot of money, who don't feel like safe and secure yet, is a big part of that is because they're very unintentional with how they're spending their money, and because like their unconscious knows that they're basically just throwing out the money for no good reason. And so that does kind of create this like overstimulation, because they're like consuming and consuming and consuming, but never actually like feeling good when it comes to like holding money. And so that is, for example, a habit that we need to build in order to feel safe and secure around money. We need to be able to hold money as much as we need to be able to spend money safely, securely, and without, getting our nervous system overstimulated in the process of doing so. If you want to dive deeper into financial habits, I have also an episode on this. It's number 47, 3 financial habits to build wealth and achieve your financial freedom. So I dive deeper into habits there. If you want to expand on that topic, make sure to keep listening to the episodes that I suggested, depending on what you feel like is more alive for you at the moment. I have also got an incredible 7-day money challenge, which has 7 quick daily shifts to feel more safe and secure around money. So if you want to expand, go deep on this, I highly recommend. It's free, so you can just grab that in the show notes. And if you feel ready at some point to get a private session for me and you to work on unearthing the hidden fears and scarcity and the victim stories behind your relationship with money, I have also linked that in the show notes below in case you feel called. And then I want to just leave you by saying you deserve financial freedom, and it is so much more than what you see in your bank account. So please take these things seriously and, consciously reflect on what you think you need to be working on the most, and then take the first step. You're not going to regret it. Okay, make sure to continue listening if you feel inspired, if you have some more time, and I'll see you next time. Bye.